Okay. All right. So the recording's going, and I will then make you the co-host so that you can show your slides. Okay. Let me just turn that. Okay. All right. I think we can make a start now. We now have a good number of people here. I just want to begin by thanking everybody for coming to our first kind of fully virtual AIU seminar. Thank you so much for attending. I know everyone's busy at this time. And we're really privileged to have Ajahn Nakon as our presenter today. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, actually.
Sure, yes.
Yes, okay.
Great.
Thank you. So as is our custom, before we get into things properly, we're going to have a word of prayer. And so can we just bow our heads, please? Dear kind and loving Father in heaven, thank you, Lord, for bringing us together on this platform. We're not together physically, but I thank you for this opportunity for us to still come together and to learn, to grow, and to support Ajahn Nakon in his presentation. And Lord, I just ask you that you will be here with us, that you will be amongst us, be especially with Ajahn Nakon as he presents to us, Father. May we understand and may we learn something that will enrich our own careers and our own experiences. We just ask for your presence, Lord, and I pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I'm
Ajahn,
now
Dr. Jeba will introduce me first, right?
yes, I was just going to say I'm now going to hand over to Dr. Jeba to introduce Ajahn Nakon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Nakon is not a stranger, but he is a lecturer from the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. He has been here since 2007, serving in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. And his research interest includes second language writing, collaborative writing in EFL context, computer assisted language learning, and learning motivation. And I can talk more about him, but then he says, don't tell much about, just say this. And then I know he's a very helpful person, and he is God-fearing, and whenever I need help, I go to him, and he really assists all of us in some kind of research or anything like that. And to talk about research, the research study he will be sharing this time is about a case study of an Asian EFL learners collaborative writing and small group interactions with technological tools, which is part of his dissertation. And I give the time to him. He will give more information about that.
Thank you, Dr. Jeba, for introducing me. Now, as I mentioned this to Dr. Amanda, that I record the video, so I will show and present through the video, and that will last about 24 minutes or 25 minutes, and after that, we can begin our discussion session. Is that okay? I'm afraid that the connection will be down, and that's why I record this video and we'll share with you, okay? So you will watch what I have done with my case study here. Good afternoon, dear colleagues from AIU. I would like to thank the research officers, coordinators, Dr. Amanda, for giving me this opportunity to share my study. I feel privileged to share with you what I have been doing for the last 1.5 years. Without further ado, I will begin my presentation, and the study I will be sharing with you this afternoon entitled A Case Studies of ASEAN EFL Learners, Collaborative Writings and Small Groups Interactions with Technological Tools. Now, in my presentations, I will give a brief overview of each main headings and sub-headings that comes under its umbrella. And this covers the backgrounds and rationales of the study, literature review, methodology, findings, discussions, and future directions. Now, previous studies indicated that learning with technologies in a social networking environment can enhance learning as learners engage with one another. Now, despite these availabilities of computer-based writing tools today, a large number of writing instructors have not integrated these modern technologies to assist the learners in writing classrooms. And web-based collaborative writing has gained the interest of a number of educational researchers due to its potential benefits in enhancing writing skills. However, scant research has been done to investigate how learners with different cultural backgrounds incorporate synchronous or asynchronous writings into their collaborative writing task in an EFL classroom. So more studies need to be conducted to investigating different styles of synchronous or asynchronous collaborative writing through web-based collaborative tools such as Google Docs with regards to collaborative behaviors of EFL learners. Now, the objectives of these studies were to explore learners' collaborative writing patterns and their use of writing change functions and language functions throughout the writing process in a naturally occurring classroom context. Now, there are two research questions were postulated. Number one, what patterns of interactions occurs when ASEAN EFL learners engage in collaborative writing tasks in Google Docs when their contributed texts are analyzed by DocuViz? And the second question is, what are the writing chain functions and language functions used in collaborative writing tasks when EFL learners are engaged in writing tasks? Now, sociocultural theory developed by Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky believed to underpin these learning activities. And the theory posits that our cognitive process is primarily a mediated process that is regulated by cultural artifacts or social activities. In views of social cultural theory, human cognitive activities developed through interactions and collaborations within the social environments in which language becomes the most pervasive and powerful tools that humans possess to mediate their connections to each other and to themselves, as claimed by Lentoff and Thorne in 2007. And learning is mediated via language and other social elements we created. Thus, mediation occurs when individuals interact with one another around them. And two other notions proposed by Lev Vygotsky under his sociocultural theory are the zones of proximal developments, or known as ZPDs, and scaffolding. Now, ZPD is defined as the distance between the actual and developmental level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. Well, scaffolding is as its name means to support learners received from more capable peers to help them make gradual progress from one step after another along their learning continuum. Now, the online collaborative writing tools such as Google Docs has been consistently developed, and currently this cloud-based writing tools is used extensively in education as it empowers writers in all disciplines to write collaboratively, and they can share, edit, or even evaluate each other's works faster and more conveniently than ever before in human history, as claimed by Lee and Storch in 2017. Now, since this research aims to explore small groups collaborative writing tasks and the collaborative writing patterns, the use of visualization tools that can display the seismic activity and detect group members' collaborative writing behaviors is needed. Therefore, I integrate DocuViz in this study. Now, as seen in this figure 1, the little rectangular bar displays in different colors at the top of this column, as shown in the letter A here, represents a timeline indicating who was that slice and whether the member contributed or not at that particular time slot. And the colored bars as shown in letter C's again depict the dates and times that members logged in and attain the task. On the far left here, their character numbers are displayed vertically in descending order from smallest to the largest numbers, whereas letter B displays different color, represents the number of participants in the group work. Now, this study was undertaken at AIU, and a purposive sampling technique was used to select the participants. Some criteria was deployed, such as the participants must use English as their foreign language. They come from countries where English is not widely spoken, and they are first-year ASEAN university students. Eventually, 35 first-year university students were qualified and eligible to participate in this study. Now, the present study employed an embedded case study design. Now, in this case, the study, an embedded case, refers to a study that involves more than one group. Thus, small groups engaging in collaborative writing tasks are considered embedded units or subcases, with each group as a bounded system. The study was bounded by a parameter of times, which is English composition course offered in the first semesters of 2020-2021 academic year, which operated for 16 weeks, and the setting is at AIU. An embedded case studies and design is by nature a mixed methods research itself, as claimed by Crawford in 2015, which permits the researchers to employ a multiplicities of methods to explore an in-depth understandings of phenomena being investigated. Now, the research study spanned a period of 15 weeks. As seen in this figure, the pre-test and the pre-task questionnaires and formations of the small groups were conducted in the second weeks of the study. And then learners were engaged in 2 collaborative writing tasks for a period of about 8 weeks. And after completing each task, learners were required to submit their reflection. And thus students' reflections were collected in weeks 7 and weeks 12. And from there on, I closely investigate small groups writing behaviors and selected the groups that demonstrate maximum variations in terms of unique collaborative writing styles, distinct collaborative behaviors, and dynamic interaction patterns. And the post-task writings and the post-task questionnaire items were administered in week 13, followed by the semi-structured interviews with selected group members in weeks 14 and 15. Then I further employed inductive content analysis to create the credibilities and validities of the results by obtaining qualitative data from the participants' reflection papers, their post-task questionnaires, as well as semi-structured interviews, in order to enrich the discussions and explanations of how individual members in small groups were conceptualized to exhibit such interactions with while they engage in collaborative writing tasks. Now, the study employed 2 main types of research instrument to obtain both quantitative and qualitative data to achieve their research objectives. The instructional instrument used in the study was constructed in the form of collaborative writing lesson plans, and 3 experts validated the lessons. Then I created a documents in Google Docs for each group for each collaborative task, and each group was informed that their collaborations in small groups in Google Docs would be viewed and observed by the researchers at any time. And this was explained before they signed the informed consent form. Other research instruments included pre-test and the post-task, and the pre-task and the post-task questionnaires, reflective journals, and semi-structured interviews. All these research instruments were validated by 3 experts in the field of English language teaching. Now, I organized both quantitative and qualitative data into types based on the source of information. The analysis of the data sets generated from various sources is explained in the figure below. Now, there are two collaborative writing tasks in Google Docs constructed by learners in small groups allowed me to analyze data quantitatively using embedded DocuViz to examine learners' proportions of contributions and further analyze qualitative data using a content analysis method to explore patterns of interactions while learners were engaged in group tasks to address research question number 1. And furthermore, the collaborative writing task permits me to examine the writing change functions and the language functions employed by small groups to address research question number 2. So the inductive content analysis from semi-structured interviews and reflective journals entries in the study enriched my understanding of the phenomena being investigated on how individual members in small groups were conceptualized to exhibit such interactions while engaging in group tasks. Now, I mentioned to Dr. Amanda, the results of this main study would be only completed in the month of either April or May this year, for I need more time to work on my qualitative data analysis. I've just completed collecting all data last month in December 2020, and I need more time to write up the report. So, however, I would be sharing with you the findings from my pilot study, which I conducted about a year ago, when I tried out my research instruments following all the procedures I mentioned to you a while ago. Now, the participants involved in my pilot study were 17 first-year university students, 10 males and 7 females. They were from 9 ASEAN countries, namely Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. Their English proficiency levels range from intermediate to upper intermediate, equivalent to A2 to B2, based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Language, or CFR scales. And the participants were formed into 5 groups. 3 groups consist of 3 members and 2 groups had 4 members. Each group could form their own team, but with the conditions that the group must contain at least 1 member from a different nationality. However, the group members were able to withdraw their participations anytime during the collaborative writing process if they encountered conflicts. So it is worth noting that one of the research aims was to investigate language functions used when the team performs a collaborative writing task in a natural settings without the instructor researcher's interventions. So the members must show their engagements in both tasks. 3 learners, 1 group D and 2 from group E, withdrew from their second task due to the work conflict. And so their data sourced from these 2 groups were invalid and exempted from investigation. Now, the 3 remaining groups were groups A, B, and C. Now, group A consists of 3 male students, and whereas group B consists of 3 female students. Group C involved 1 male and 3 male students. And focusing on these 3 groups allowed me to provide a dense description, which is crucial for a case study. Now, the analysis was based on Lee's in 2014 and Storch 2002 models, and I utilized James and her team's 2017 collaborative writing styles to address research question number 1. That is about the patterns of interactions while EFL learners engage in collaborative writing tasks in Google Docs. As you can see here, group A demonstrate the revision styles in both tasks. Here is the bar chart of group A writing task in task 1 and task 2. As seen, the members contributed nearly equally to the final end, and the collaborative writing pattern did not shift. With regard to the proportions of contributions, the members in orange made the most contributions in both tasks, 41% in the first task and 40% in the second task, whereas the members in red made the least contributions, 26% in the first task and about 29% in the second task. And this bar chart shows the patterns of group B's constructing their task 1 and task 2. In the first task, you can see here 1 to control of the work, about 86%. with very minimal help from her peers. The collaborative writing style here is known as the main author writing style. However, in task 2, the group writing behavior gradually shifts to a cooperative revision style at the final stage when a member in red made a significant contributions, about 32%, while the one in yellow remained in her subservience role. Overall, the same members who contributed the most text in task 1 remain the dominant writers in task 2 as well. And Group C demonstrates cooperative revision styles across both tasks, similar to Group A, but interestingly, in one member was absent in task 1. He was included in this analysis with the reasons that I would explain later. Now, like the other two groups, one member was found to lead the group across both tasks. From the bar charts here, you would see the members in orange made the most contributions in both tasks. 59% in task 1 and 41% in task 2. The members in purple was absent in task 1. However, from the interview and students' reflections, this person admitted that he worked face-to-face with the member in red and used her account to type the text in 2 times during the second week of the work process in task 1. And this occurrence blind his contributions in task 1 as well. However, in the second task, he was required to use his own account to log in. As you can see here from this chart, he could eventually contribute about 21% to the final products here. Now, in order to respond to research question number 2 on the writing change functions and language functions employed by the learners when they were engaged in collaborative writing tasks, I analyzed written text co-constructed by the teams in Google Docs files and scanned through Google Docs revision histories and comments. Now, Lee and Su's 2017's taxonomies of writing chain functions and language functions were adopted to investigate how learners employed writing chain functions and language functions to co-construct their essays. So the taxonomies of the writing chain functions is shown in this table 1 on the screen here. You can see writing chain functions includes adding, correcting, deleting, refreshing, or reordering. Now, whereas the language functions used for task negotiations includes acknowledging, agreeing, disagreeing, elaborating, eliciting, greeting, justifying, questioning, requesting, stating, and suggesting. Now, the analysis of writing chain functions produced by groups A, B, and C in their 2 tasks are tabulated and displayed in this table 3. The 3 groups employed relatively identical writing chain functions while engaging in group writing. The most writing chain functions employed by the group were adding to self-constructed text, followed by correcting themselves and others deleting selves. Reordering was used the least among writing chain functions. Now in table 4 here, it displays the frequencies of language functions employed by small groups when they perform group tasks. The most frequently used language functions under initiating were suggesting and stating and requesting, whereas the most used language functions under responding was agreeing, followed by acknowledging. Now, this phenomenon had led me to further explore why these learners exhibit such collaborative writing styles and interaction patterns. I further examined their comments in the Google Doc history version, their reflections and semi-structured interviews, inductive content analysis introduced by Elo and Kingas in 2007 was deployed. In the open coding, notes and headings are written in the text while reading it. And the written materials is read through many times and headings are written down in the margin, in the margins, and the headings are collected from the margins onto coding sheets. And after the opening coding, the list of categories are grouped together under higher order headings to reduce the numbers of categories by putting those that are similar or dissimilar. In the categorizations and abstraction, a general description is formulated. So each category is named using content words, and subcategories with similar content are grouped together again as categories. And categories are grouped and refined as main categories. So this abstraction process continues as far as it reasonable and possible to define emerging theme. Now, this slide illustrates an examples how I worked on the abstractions in the inductive content analysis when subcategories are grouped and refined into a generic categories and regrouped and redefined into main categories or theme. So I discovered that there are 4 major themes emerged from the inductive analysis on individual goals that guided explanations regarding the fluidity of interaction patterns, which are getting a good grade, developing writing skills, enhancing learning experience, and completing tasks. These case studies reveal that group members' goals influence their interactions and contributions. This also has been noted in previous research conducted by Cho in 2017, Li and Su in 2017, Wang in 2019, and Zhang in 2019 as well. So aside from these individual goals that shape the group's collaborations and interaction patterns, it was also found that members' roles also play a very crucial role in framing their collaborations and contribution. Individual members play a vital role in making teamwork successful. I discovered that members whose goals were to earn academic reward and accomplish tasks would normally gain the writing territory and establish their fixed roles as leaders or text editors or proofreader and dominate group tasks regardless of the change of task types. On the other hand, members whose aims were just to enhance writing skills or learning experience would rather be reasonable contributors, followers, and play a subservient role. Now, out of these 5 initial self-constructed groups, only 2 teams were successful collaborating in both tasks with the presence of all members. Surprisingly, the members were of the same gender in both groups. This suggests that same gender preference plays a role in shaping interactions and teamwork when learners are new to each other. So people feel more comfortable working with members of the same genders, and they tend to offer more positive acts and collaborations, as posted by Gorman in 2005. As Strauss and Megans also found that the self-selected groups of members with the same genders works more collaboratively than those who are in the mixed gender groups. Now, in future studies, a greater varieties of academic essays types or other writing genres can be considered. Task types, mixed gender groups, and learners' language proficiency should be cautiously manipulated by the researcher. And more groups might be involved coming from different L1 backgrounds across institutions in order to gather a richer data set. Well, thank you very much for your kind attention. Yes, I think that's all I have that I share with you. And now we can start our Q&A session. If you have any questions to ask.
Yes, if anyone has any questions, the floor is now open for you to unmute and fire away. Okay, I have a question. It's quite a kind of basic practical question, actually. I'll start the ball rolling. Ajahn Nakhon, I find it fascinating, actually, the multiple dimensions of your study. It's really fascinating. And
Thank you.
one practical element that I was wondering about is how you managed to coordinate. You said you had these groups in different countries. How did you manage to coordinate these groups effectively? Because I know it's not easy even to get a group together in your immediate vicinity, let alone across different countries.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Amanda, for raising this question. Yeah, it is actually, it's a very challenging work for us too. But fortunately, during the time I pilot my study, the students were all here on campus during that time. The COVID situation of the COVID was not that worse yet. So because they were allowed to form their own group, their own team, but with a condition that, you know, they should find somebody not in the same nationality to be together, at least one member. So they agreed to do so because they try and learn from each other too. And they were very new to each other at the time they took this study. So yeah, they could, but as you see, at the end, only about two groups, right? I would say two groups successfully present in both tasks. And whereas you can see other two groups, and two groups didn't work this out. And that's a very challenging to form a group with students from different nationalities when they are new to each other. Yeah, but yeah, I mean they were allowed to form their own group, and I didn't get to force them because I want to observe their interaction behavior and collaborative behavior in the natural setting, you know. So there is no forced. But actually, at the end, I could get at least two groups successfully did this. But I also count the other group because he claimed in his reflection and interview that he used his friend's account 2 times to log in and add in text, but he didn't use his own account. So I say, oh, in that case, maybe in the next task, you should log in your own, because I could see how much you contribute, something like that. Yeah, it is a very challenging. Yes, Dr. Amanda, is very challenging to form them to work together when they are from different backgrounds of the language and culture.
Ajahn Kap, I have a few questions. But first, technical question: How do you select the students, Ajahn? How do you go by selecting the students? And do students have the same kind of English proficiency at the beginning of the research?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sirot. As I mentioned, this is a purposive sampling, but the pilot study, you see, in the pilot study, I had only 17 students enrolled in this course, and so what I did was I used all of them, you know, to just pilot my instruments, the findings I shared with you based on my my pilot study. Not the main study. The main study I can probably share with you later again after a few more months if you invite me. That one, I be quite a bit strict to the criteria that students should be only from the ASEAN countries. You know, I exclude students from like the European countries because I want to see students who have the you know, use English as a foreign language, not their first language or the second language, to see how they interact with each other. But as you said, the proficiency level actually based on the records from, you know, the English proficiency level, which I received from the records that they took before they entered or enrolled in the university, that could also help me to define which person has a better English than the other. So at least I could mix them, you know, and that is also actually a one condition. Yeah, but the proficiency level is not very much different. Yeah, during the time I took my pilot study, I could see that a few of them, were better than others, but the rest about the same level, not much different.
Just a few. Sorry, add more questions. Ajahn, in terms of content, because you have two styles, right? One is descriptive, one is an argument kind of content, right, Ajahn?
Yes, the only two two kinds of writing essays in my pilot study. Yes.
In terms of collaboration, is there any difference between the two writing styles, Ajahn?
As I presented to you a while ago, you would see but if you look at the language functions they employed, I discovered that in argument essay, they intend to use more language functions. Probably it's because the nature of the writing may, students may need more ways to argue and in order to come out with a better arguments or their, make their stance stronger like that. So I observed that the argument essay produce more interactions than the first one. And I believe that there might be also when they get familiar with each other at the first task, that can allow them to interact a little bit more like that. Yes, Dr. Sirot, I think so.
ขอบคุณมากครับอาจารย์
ครับ thank you ครับ Dr. Sirot.
I have a question.
Yes, Ajahn Rita.
First of all, congratulations for reaching this stage.
Thank you.
Process, right? I want to, actually, I have two questions. One is from your observation, at what level of language proficiency can students benefit from collaborative writing?
Oh, okay. I think it is in terms of language proficiency, I would say it is a give and take. It's a give and take. What I mean is, normally, the higher students with higher proficiency will have to, what should I say, sacrifice a little more, in order to help the one with the lower level of the language. That's why when I observe this, normally the higher proficiency level will work a little harder in order to achieve and guide the group. Not the benefits would be that the more you share, the more you get, I believe. But they may not improve much in terms of language proficiency, but they learn even small thing. You can still learn from the one with less proficiency. I mean, you still can learn something from that. But of course, the lower proficiency learners will gain more benefits than the higher proficiency level in terms of that.
I see.
Did
Okay.
I answer your question, Ajahn Rita?
So what you're saying, maybe the students with low level proficiency will benefit from the feedback from the higher level, students with higher level of English proficiency.
Yes, that I from my interview in group 2, actually, I didn't get to mention this, but there are two members did benefit. They said in their interviews and also in their reflection, they did benefit for the group, the leader. They said that, learn how to use a better grammar and the language or the word choice like that. So they could learn something from that.
Okay, well, how about the quality of contribution though? Do you see equal quality of contribution to the collaborative process from all the students, or some students are better at giving
the quality,
the quality of their feedback to each other?
Do you mean
process
during the collaborative
yes.
writing process, right?
Like for instance, the low level as opposed to the higher level learners, though, the quality of the contribution to the writing process.
Oh, you mean I didn't mention this in the pre-task, the pre-test and the post-test. After they engage in this, I could see some change or some progress in this. I mean, to compare the pre-test and the post-test, but I didn't get to show you because 17 students, I could not, show how it makes a difference because the number is too small. But in my major study, I could find some significant difference in their writing change in between the pre-test and the post-test. the group normally, what I observe, the group who collaborate more, like to fix each other's, editing each other's. I mean, then the product will be a little better than the group that contribute but without interacting with others' takes. That's what I noticed. Yes, Chanrita.
Mm.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, well,
The group who collaborate more, like, you know, engaging with each other's takes, like correcting or suggesting, making more change on others' takes by leading by the advanced learner, that will likely to have a better quality of the writing product at the end.
I
And the
see.
group who just put in, you know, because some group, when you ask them to contribute, they put it as a block, one person here and there. So that is sometimes is also a risk, because, you know, you will not see the quality much on that case, like they just complete the task or as assigned like that.
Okay, I
Yes.
see. So I guess that's another area of research in the future, the way the manner in which they collaborate.
Yes.
I have tried collaborative writing in class before, but I've noticed that at certain level of language proficiency, especially maybe if they are not in the advanced level, when they suggest correction, they actually they will give wrong suggestions. What I'm saying is that when it is correct, they say it's wrong. You know, it's probably because of their own lack of proficiency in that language. So I've actually stopped using collaborative writing process with low-level learners, proficiency-wise, because they are still learning the language, and many times they don't know quite what is the right structure, maybe for certain sentences. It seems like it works better with students who have higher level of English proficiency. Yeah.
Yes, you are right, Rita. I discovered in my main study too. My main study, I discovered that the lower proficiency learners normally hardly contribute because they are afraid of making mistakes. Yes, why you could see in my pilot study, there are other two groups, right, with low proficiency, didn't get to interact, and so I could not use their data for
I
this.
see. Okay.
That you are very, very true. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I think I've asked. Maybe others can ask now. Thank you so much for sharing your finding.
Achar, are
Thank you,
you going to find out the difference between the people who are, I mean, collaborative studies and those who don't are not using collaborative studies?
So what is your question again, Ajahn?
I mean, collaborative writings, you have using the tool, and students who don't use collaborative writing, like individual writing. Are you going to find out the significance or differences in this?
I didn't look at this dimension, Dr. Jeba. I didn't get to look at this dimension, but in my study, I intend to study the behavior, the collaborative writing behavior, and look at actually the pre-test and the post-test as well. But yeah, I didn't compare with the individual writings. I didn't get to compare with that one. This is something in the future we can look at it when we have 2 or 3 sections, right?
Yeah. It just to ask you whether if they are doing better collaboratively, then it can be proposed for.
Yeah, but what I discovered, the students with the average or the low level who benefits, and they improved when they join with the advanced learners who are willing to help. In my main study, I discovered there are 2 groups, but not included in what I shared a while ago. I discovered when because we run a class hybrid, right, online. So they are from different countries. They never met each other before. They collaborate. There are 2 groups successfully, and the one with high proficiency level were very willing to help, to support, and to scaffold the other 2 members. So I was very stunned with that findings. which maybe I can share with you how they collaborate and they turn out very successfully. And the lower level really appreciate the work. And they, when I interviewed and I could see how they appreciate, the friends help from the advanced ones from the group like that. There are 2 or 3 cases like that.
Of course, it will be beneficial because it is 2 different language students are from different countries and they are also at the same level and are different level. They could be benefiting from one another, I believe.
Right.
I have a question, Ajana Khan.
Yes, Ajahn.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very interesting. I'm
you.
interested in the group interaction of the students. Were there any activities to promote group interaction before actually the students began to work collaboratively in their writing projects?
Yes.
Because you said that the collaboration for the students between the same gender was more than across genders. So can you just share a little bit about that?
Oh, what I said here was that when I pilot my instrument, I asked them to form their own team, right? So they end up forming the team with the same gender. So it seems like when they collaborate, they were more successful when they collaborate with the same gender, when they are new to each other. Yes, but your question is whether I use some kind of interactive or
yeah, any group
right?
activities to help
Yes.
them get to know each other so that they can work more efficiently together.
Yes, I actually, before they start writing in Google Doc, right, the cloud-based, I create an activity in a Google Doc, but not the one that they are collaborating in the writing the final products. I create a separate file that they can, at least, let's say I give them a picture to describe. So they collaborate with one another on that activity, at least to get familiar with each other. So they did that. We did some kind of group work, like the sequential writing, that kind of thing, and or you give them a story, and then they can make a picture to make up a story, but writing down in the cloud-based platform. So they practice that. Actually, they practice that before they started the collaborative writing, which I require them to do in Google Doc file. Yeah.
Was there any, like, just personally getting to know each other, about each other activities? Not just task based, but just socially to get to know each other.
From the beginning, right? Yes.
Yes.
From the beginning, yeah. We introduce each other, and in the forum, right? In the Moodle forum, I ask them to introduce themselves and then interact, because they're the one to form their own group. So once they form their own group, I said you should be familiar. I get familiar with each other first before you start. But still, I could see that I don't know, somehow this activity prevent them from collaborating with each other, especially the other 2 groups that I excluded in this pilot study. But yes, they did interact with each other, get to know each other at the beginning of at the beginning of the research phase. Yeah, they did that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, John. But
Okay.
I want to share one thing here before other questions. As I can, maybe I can share with you the let me see the slide, if I have the slide. Okay. Did you see the slide I shared? Can you see this?
Ajahn,
Yes,
can you put
we
it
can.
in the slideshow so that it could be a bit bigger, maybe? If you click on the
Oh,
slideshow,
let me
it will
try
come up
again.
a bit bigger.
Okay. I want to explain this phenomenon in, let me see. Okay, you will see this slide. There is a flaw. So I would say some some flaw of this program. As you can see here, these two collaborative writing produced by
Ajahn
Group
Lakan,
B.
we can't see the slide you're trying to show. It was showing previously, but it was just a bit small. That's all. So you can maybe go back to where you were before and just click on the slideshow button so we can see it big. That's it. That's it.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. You see these two tasks produced by Group B. The one in orange dominate the work from group in collaborative task 1, and in collaborative task 2 you cannot see the green, right? But actually the same member in orange in group 1 in task 1. That is the some technical problem with this program DocuViz. You see the same member, when they produce another task, when you run the program it shows a different colors, but you need to look at the names. So I want to point out this is there's some defect of this DocuViz, the visualization too. You need to explain to this. This is something I want to clarify, because you may get surprised why I said the same person who dominate the work, but the different colors, orange and a green. But actually the orange and the green from collaborative 1 and collaborative 2 task is the same person. Yes, Ajahn. Yeah, any more question, please?
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll begin to draw towards a close. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Kung, but I know that perhaps Jumper might want to say something about the evaluation form, maybe. But I'll just hand over to Dr. Kung and Jumper if you need to say anything.
I would like to ask everyone to help fill the evaluation, which I sent the link with the announcement. So you can go and click it, do it in the link in Sarah. Thank you.
Yes, that's the link of the survey form that I sent through Zoom to all of you. You can just click the link and it's very easy. You can just answer the question and submit it back to Jampa. You don't have to go to Sarah. Okay, just go to Line and just click the link. All right, well, thank you so much, Ajahn Khan. We do really appreciate your sharing, and it's quite advanced in your field. And it's, to me, it's like from Mars. I couldn't understand much, but I can see that you bring in the kind of new way or new technology in analyzing the data that will benefit to many of our teachers, right? I know that it is quite impressed Ajahn in the art and humanity fields. Thank you so much, Ajahn Nakorn, and we hope that in the future we will have you join us again.
Thank you, Dr. Kung, and
thank
you, Dr. Amanda, for inviting me to share my research findings. Thank you so much.
I just want to say before we close, I'm sorry, apologies, Dr. Kung. Just before you pray, I know you're going to pray. Just want to inform everybody or invite everybody to please get in touch if you have a piece of research that you would like to share, as Ajahn Nakorn has done and as many have done before him. Please do get in touch with Dr. Kung or myself, because we don't know exactly what everybody's doing, but it would be good to just have a nice variety of faculty sharing, and I'm sure that we've all been gaining bits and pieces from various individuals' research. So don't be afraid. This is a friendly platform for everybody to share and to grow and to learn together. So please do get in touch if you want to share your research.
Dr. Amanda, thank you so much. Do you have any plan for next month yet?
Oh, not at the moment, but the Lord will provide.
All right, thank you so much. All right, before we dismiss, I would like to pray for everyone. Is there anybody have any prayer requests?
For motivation to do research.
For motivation to do research. Thank you, Ajahn Thantip. Is there anything else? All right, it seems like we are all shy. All right, let's pray. Can I pray in Thai or shall I pray in English? How many of us are Thai? I know you are in Thailand for a long time, so you understand a little bit lah. Okay, let me pray in Thai นะคะ สาธุการแด่พระเจ้าผู้สถิตบนสวรรค์เราขอบพระคุณที่พระองค์ทรงประทานอาจารย์นครและอาจารย์หลายๆท่านที่ได้พัฒนาความรู้และทักษะทางด้านการวิจัยไปมากมายไปไกลมากพระเจ้าขออวยพระพรแก่อาจารย์เหล่านี้เพื่อที่เมื่อเรียนจบแล้วจะได้กลับมาช่วยการพัฒนามหาวิทยาลัยขอพระเจ้าอวยพระพรแก่อาจารย์ในมหาวิทยาลัยที่จะมีความรู้สึกปรารถนาที่จะอยากทำวิจัยและมีความสุขมีความสนุกที่จะได้ทำวิจัยขอพระเจ้าอวยพระพรแก่เราทุกๆคนแล้วก็ขอให้ทุกๆคนมีความสุขในวันสะบาโตนี้ด้วยในนามพระเยซูคริสต์เจ้าอาเมน
Amen.
Thank you everyone see you next month
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
ขอบคุณท่าน
Ajahn.
นะคะ thank you so
ขอบคุณค่ะพูดภาษาไทยเก่งนะคะ Thank you Amanda Thank you อาจารย์นครค่ะ Thank you Champa for organizing
Yes, thank you very much, Jampa. Thank you.
อาจารย์นครไปกินข้าวได้แล้วนะคะ
Thank you ครับอาจารย์ Thank you so much ครับ
Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะ Thank you Thank you Amanda Where are you now
I'm in my apartment now.
Okay and you
Yeah,
cannot leave the apartment
Cannot mix. So yeah, so I'm just in my apartment. Yeah, but I'm doing fine. I have food and water. So
like your new hair
thank you.
you look young with that hair
Oh, do I? How have you been? How is
Yeah.
your family? How is everything?
My family at pack at home except my husband. My husband is at work, but the rest of us are pack at home because of the online learning, and I kind of like it so that I can be with my family. How's
Yeah.
your family? How's your daddy and mommy and
Yes.
sisters?
Yes, they're fine. I think I told you, my sister came over to the UK as well, and so we had a really nice time. We were inside most of the time, but it was just really nice. It was just we got to, we ate together every day. We did everything together, so it was lovely. Yeah. So I feel blessed to have been able to spend that time with them, because I think now the UK are starting to really clamp down on the people who are coming in. So I'm glad that I got to go then, because I don't know what will happen in the future.
You never know. Yeah. So you guys are in the house most of the time?
Yes, we stayed inside because it was still, London was still on a kind of lockdown, so there wasn't any real, I mean, we went out walking or what, you can walk or whatever, or you can go down to get food from the supermarket or whatever, but like restaurants were closed and all the entertainment places were closed, so there was nowhere to go and kind of meet friends and things like that. So we had a lot of Zoom meetings, like I Zoomed my friends and, people from my church. We had a Zoom party. So yeah, everything was kind of online and at home. And plus I spent quite a lot of time just sorting out my papers to come back, because I had to collaborate with the Thai embassy and make sure that I had all my permissions and so on. So that took up some time as well. Yeah.
Oh, but I'm glad you can come back.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So glad.
I'm back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm planning.
We have to
I'm
see.
planning to talk to Mrs. Rita about my contract, that it will be in this semester, and I will talk to her that you might be interested, and I already talked to you about it. So I will talk to her.
Okay.
I think it's better to talk to her like person rather than email. I think I can explain better with verbal.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I also I prefer to meet people in person, so I know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I will see you around when school open again.
Yeah. What I might do, I'm thinking that I might see if I can think of an external speaker, even somebody abroad, to speak about their research. Maybe I'll ask around my colleagues and see who might, so we can, since we're doing it online, then maybe somebody will be able to just, because they won't have to go anywhere, they won't have to do anything. So I might ask around and see if we can get a guest speaker, maybe not for February, but maybe for March or something. Yeah. But for next month, we have to just pray and see see what God provides for next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will help you to search too. I think Elwin is trying to reach me for the next meeting, so I have to leave now.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
All right. Take care.
Have
Bye.
Sabbath.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.